Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Premier League presentation bringing you guys a game between Team Empire and Team Liquid. This is the Game 2 of the Best of 3 series, and we're going to go on into it in just a minute. We had an awesome game for the number 1, a lot of aggression coming out of the Luna, and we just saw how powerful that silencer pick. Possibly going to see it banned out this time around because it's definitely something to be respected. But I'm Blaze, I'm here with Rainmaker. How's it going, man?
It's going pretty good. That was a really interesting game last series. We saw Team Liquid get off to a nice early advantage, but as you were saying, the silencer just hitting R and completely shutting down team fights. If it's going to get banned, though, it's going to be a little bit tricky. They can't allow Team Empire to have their two other signature heroes with they're giving away rather the Nyx or the Wisp if they go out to ban that silencer, and I'm not sure that's something they can really afford. They can be looking to go and pick up perhaps a Wisp of their own. I've seen them run that, but it's really, really tricky. Team Empire has shown their strength with multiple of the quote-unquote imbalanced heroes this map, and I think that Team Liquid needs to have some sort of strategy to go and deal with at least one of them.
Absolutely. So we do see the Darkseer banned out as well as the Nyx Assassin. Weird enough, going kind of maybe for some throwaway bans right here. They do have the first pick available. Maybe respecting that silencer so much they want to pick it up for themselves. Who knows? But for the time being, DS taken out. It's still a very common first ban hero, and it was something that was a thorn in their side going up against him alongside the Jakiro. Not wanting to give that away to the Funnick, but generally speaking, that's going to leave open, like you said, a lot of really powerful heroes. A lot of supportive ones that keep it alight, Wisp, that kind of thing. If you give a Wisp to Team Empire, they're going to use it. They're going to combine it with one of those great heroes, Chaos Knight, Tiny, Sven maybe, and just really wreak havoc in your lineup there with that global presence and aggression that can come out from that, especially since they do also have the Radiant side. They can go for Radiant mid pulls with them. He worked very well with that. And with this Undying ban, that might be what they're giving away.
Yeah, they're also, with their first ban, with their first pick, as you were saying, they have access into any of those heroes that they want, and I'm curious to see what Team Empire will allow. Also to note, Team Liquid loves their Bat Rider, so if, perhaps they can give that, they're willing to go and give away some of their these quote-unquote stronger heroes, such as the Silencer, to go and pick up that, great initiation coming from the Bat Rider. I'm curious to see what Team Empire will ban and kind of what Team Liquid's looking for with their first pick.
For sure. So now, yeah, Empire has some limited options here. They get the second and third picks, so they really want to be able to build the lineup and not ban out something too powerful. But with this, there are so many great options. We mentioned the Keeper Light, the Wisp, another good counter pick to throw out immediately could be the Disruptor to actually just throw the Wisp away with that Glimpse or whoever he brings to the party. But the Wisp does come on out, and now Team Empire has to find a way to answer back. They go with the Keeper Light and the Bat Rider, kind of just perfectly showing their signature mindset in that. Bat Rider having so much control last game on Scandal, and now we'll see if they're going to run it the exact same way. Either way, they'll keep the Light, a great hero to move in towards the mid to late game very, very aggressively, because they can make sure the carry is just farming. They can also put Cuddle on the aggressive tri-lane, harass down 3 heroes at a time. That's great too, but as long as he's making sure that the carry is continuing to get CS, whether through Chakra infusions or actually when he's in the mid game and trying to farm, he doesn't have to worry about being in position for the fight, as that recall is always readily available there.
Yeah, I definitely think that Cuddle serves those two roles fantastically, and I wouldn't be surprised for Team Empire to go and run in another aggressive tri-lane. Perhaps even just to dodge the aggressive tri-lane coming out from Team Liquid, because that's looking like it will be. Chaos Knight and Wisp is a very potent combination in the mid-game, because you can just join a fight and immediately go and land your 4-second stun, and follow it up with a Wisp Tether stun. Also Clockwork, a lot of long-range initiation, but their lanes, it's a little bit strange. Clockwork is a great hero on that long lane, but you do want CK and Wisp, they have the potential to be very aggressive. However, Wisp not getting the levels. Team Liquid being very opaque with their laning here, and I think that's going to serve them very well, because it's going to be difficult for Team Empire to kind of snuff them out.
Yeah, that's very true. The fact of the matter is Chaos Knight and Wisp can go on the mid lane very aggressively. They can't do the pulls as much as they would want to based on the fact that they're dire, but they still have a lot of control for runes. Wisp or the CK could either one get an early bottle, and that can work out great for them. Otherwise, they can go on the top lane and just make sure that CK is farming, depending on what carry they're going up against and what pace of the game they want to really control. But presumably, we're going to see Bubble on the Clockwork again, as TC does love that CK, having that long range range of initiation to be aggressive, but also using his just farming mindset to make sure that he's coming out on top, making sure he has plenty of strength for his phantasms, so on and so forth. But from here, they have the opportunity with their CK playing the number 1 role to ban out some hard carries, the Gyrocopter, the Lifestealer, whereas Team Empire is kind of banning out what we saw before, fluff and stuff oriented heroes like the Enchantress, presumably the Visage next, because if you're dealing with a Wisp, a CK, and a Visage, you're going to have a very, very rough time.
Yeah, like last game we saw that they didn't quite have enough burst damage to go and, save to kind of save their lineup. They weren't able to take down the Luna quite quickly enough. They weren't able to take down the Darkseer quite quickly enough. And Visage is the hero that allows them to do that. I feel he fits very well into Team Liquid's kind of playstyle these days. And more than that, he's surprisingly durable with that. With his layers of defense, he can go and survive a ton of damage. I believe it was a couple games ago we saw him just tank a full Lina combo and sit at half HP and go on just to nuke her down in maybe another 2 soul assumptions. So a very strong hero in that sense.
Absolutely. Now, the laning situation with this Bane will be pretty interesting. If the Bane can get levels up to get that Fiend's Grip early, there's a lot of potential in that hero, but you also got to keep in mind that Team Liquid has a lot of stuns in their arsenal, whether it's just a random battery assault or a hookshot, a Chaos Strike, Chaos Bolt, or the Tether to stun him out. There's lots of ways to make sure that he's not locking down his opponent. On top of that, CK Illusions still do tons of damage based on the fact that they're 100% scaling in the base damage sense. So Bane will be able to get some lockdown here and there, but I'm curious to see how effective it will be. It will really put a lot on Silent, which, by the way, that is kind of a key hero of Silent, very, very signature there. He needs to get in a good position for it, because there are so many ways to prevent that from happening. He wants to be in the trees or just on the back end of the team fight so that he can get that long-range disable off for the entire duration, and then just use the potential of Bane early on with the Nightmare positioning to overcome and maybe start some Napalm stacks and Firefly, or just use some big nuke from the Brain Sap. So lots of great utilities in Bane. Not sure if he's going to actually even bother scaling up in Feeble going up against the CK here, but either way, Silent just plays that hero amazingly, and I'm curious to see how they're going to lane it, presumably with the Keeper Light and the Bane, and then a defensive hard carry that can scale better than CK. But beyond that, they're just trying to ban out Fluff's heroes to make sure their laning will go smoothly, and so far I don't think Fluff has that many great options on the board, since most of his big heroes and IX Mike's Shadow Demon have all been taken out.
Yeah, I feel that Team Liquid, though, has protected their CK quite well, getting rid of both carries with the highest AoE presence. That basically guarantees that the Chaos Knight's Phantasms will do a huge amount of damage in the late game. All they really have to worry about right now is the Keeper of the Light Illuminate Blast, and even then, once Chaos Knights gets into those real late game items such as Heart, he doesn't even care. But Team Empire, though, they need to go and pick up a very strong late game hero if they're looking to weather the aggression in that sense. I don't think this is a lineup where they really want to go super aggressive, because between Chaos Knights, Chaos Bolts, and the Cogs, your mid-game team fights are basically taken over. There are very few heroes in the pool that will be able to deal with that, and when you already have a Batrider and Bane, I think it's better just to play a little bit defensively. You have two great heroes that scale super well into the late game, and you have a Keeper of the Light that will be very, very effective at protecting your carry. It seems like Team Liquid loves their puck. Korok's been playing out of his mind these past couple games, and he's showing how effective it can be. Also, with Clockwork, it provides two sources of long-range initiation. They synergize very well together. I think it's going to fare very well. Again, in the mid lane, against a Batrider, we saw that Korok did have some issues. He didn't die, but he didn't get a ton of farm either. And that delayed blink was pretty regretful last game for Team Liquid. But we'll see how it shapes up this time. Again, Batrider is one of these heroes that can go into jungle, and it's hard to say. I believe Team Empire will put him mid, but perhaps Korok can catch a break and go against some other hero.
Yeah, it could be a lot of different options. The Clinks comes out for Funnick. Oh my gosh, this is gonna get exciting. So many signature heroes. Silent on the Bane, Clinks, Funnick on the Clinks, and Scandal is really great on the Batrider. I'm not sure if it would be considered in his top two, but it definitely is one of his better heroes. So that right off the bat sets them up for such an aggressive lineup that unfortunately Team Liquid just kind of handed it to him because they're so worried about a bunch of different things. So Funnick is gonna go most likely on the off lane with that Clinks. I mean, and I'm not counting out an aggressive try where he could get some solo free farm up on down on the bottom lane, but generally speaking, he loves to go just on the off lane and see where he can make things happen from there. But he's going to get that Orchid at relatively good timing. It's a great counter for Puck. It even screws over Wisp a little bit in the sense that he can't tether away to safety, and Clockwork can't hook shot away, as we saw him do that mid lane engagement last game around. But I do think Korok's Puck is going to be very powerful here. If he's not up against a silencer, he's going to have a lot more just freeness to move around the map, be active, be disabling, be controlling, and that's of course what his intention is to do. I don't think they're going to go for the Earthshaker again here, but they do have plenty of different other supportive options to go for, and it looks like it's going to be the Windrunner. So I'm not sure if they're going to run the Clockwork on the offlane or just go for a purely supportive Windrunner. I guess both of those would coincide. Yeah, it's going to be interesting how they want to lane it. Either way, they're going to be looking for some big shackles to come on out to try to disable up this Clinks before the BKB comes out.
And also, when you have a Dream Coil and a Cogs to work with, it's very easy to kind of line up those shackles, so it becomes even more impactful. If you're able to shackle two heroes in the middle of a team fight, that's a team fight you can basically win, and they are blast picking the Silencer, putting him on the hard carry roll, and I feel like this is going to be super, super strong from Team Empire, kind of just showing that since you can run Silencer in multiple positions, it's just be super, super effective here. Again, Windrunner, Silencer goes and blows out of the water. Puck, Silencer destroys. Clockwork, really bad against Silencer. Chaos Knight, pretty bad against Silencer too. So, and with the amount of pure damage that the Silencer will be dishing out, this Chaos Knight and Clockwork are going to be in for a rough time because there's no amount of armor that can save them. Wow, what do you think that, how do you think they're going to lane this though? Like a defensive tri-lane with the Keeper of the Light and Bane, and then just moving on?
Yeah, I think they're going to just go purely hard carry Silencer, be like, okay, screw this, we can go in, make sure that he gets all the farm he needs, and just have so much right-click damage potential with the Glaives of Wisdom there, because they do scale amazingly, being that they're pure damage, so the mitigation, the higher late-game armor of Clockwork and other such heroes is not going to be relevant, and he can just dish out everything that he wants to here, so it's going to be pretty awesome. And I really think that if Liquid doesn't start putting pressure out early, they're going to have a really bad time. We saw how powerful he is just with his pure teamfight utility. Now we're going to get a chance to see what Blow Your Brain can do when he farms him up aggressively. So that is going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see it. And I'm curious why Liquid didn't actually want to opt for farming up on the just banning out that Silencer so they didn't have to worry about it. Presumably thought that they were in a safe bet, assuming the enemy carry would be much later in the game, but that's not Empire style. They're so aggressive, and we're going to see it once more trying to go out in this position here. As far as how the lanes are shaping up, Scandal is kind of towards the bottom lane, maybe interested in the jungle, but as we've seen, that generally isn't as much his style. They might be looking to just abandon the top lane, but Clinks, I'm not sure. Funix should be heading up top as soon as possible, but for the time being has Regeneration Restoratives pulled to him by Goblak, and he's going to get that Wraithband soon to Aquila really, really quickly. So, do you think this is going to be the aggressive tri-lane you were talking about?
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised if it was, because, however, Silencer does fare very well in an aggressive tri-lane just because of the fact that he's able to... Oh, Chaos Bolt, only 1 second, but are they going to make something happen here?
Well, they get the regeneration, so he can pop it off 6 seconds later, but they don't want to go in. They don't know how many opponents are up that hill, and just going to be respectful of their lack of knowledge and fall back from that position. In the meantime, it looks like Goblak and Scandal... No, Goblak's heading up top, so it is going to be 3-1-1. With Silent, Goblak, and Blow Your Brain heading out to put tons of aggression out. And with this last word, it's going to make it very difficult for TC specifically, because pretty much he has to cast out a very, very expensive spell, or get disarmed for 6 seconds, not being able to last hit, or engage in the fight itself. So that really, really hurts him if they use the harassment appropriately, and it's, yeah, very, very frustrating indeed. So that is a great landing situation for them, and the fact that Liquid currently doesn't have too much as far as wards on the Keeper of the Light means that they're going to get hit by quite a few Illuminates really early on.
Also, once the Chakra Magic starts coming out, just spamming curses on that CK, on that Wisp, is going to be super effective. Silencer is a very strong hero in a tri-lane, and I think that unless they're able to go and get a ton of additional experience off of their pulls, this is basically a lost tri-lane. Ooh, and with the Coddle going and picking up those 2 neutrals, that's more experience going the way of the Radiant.
Yep, so that's pretty much really going to limit what they can accomplish there. The ward finally does come out here, actually centering it up, so that's going to be not spawning for the next 3 minutes. So the Liquid will be able to keep that on tabs on that, but they are kind of limited. Actually, I'm not recent. I haven't checked out the spawn boxes, so for all I know, it might be just slightly outside of it. Liquid, very, very smart players, try to be as efficient as possible with items like wards and so on, but we'll see how that engagement up top. If they can get successful pulls to go on through, they might be in a really good position to get the dedicated farm on CK, get some good levels on Wisp, but the issue there is that the Keeper Light can still continuously illuminate and pick off creeps by creeps.
Yeah, right now, they also have a ton of right-click coming out from that Bane. That's one of the most undervalued things that I feel about Bane is the fact that he does a ton of damage in the lane. He's being able to very effectively deny against that Chaos Knight, and it's going to be super irritating for them to deal with. Meanwhile, on bot lane, Klinks is controlling the lane fairly well. He's farming up quite nicely, sitting at 8-1. Not the best
going
farm
on
in the world.
silent. He's a little out of position. They even pop off spirits early on. They want to get this reality rift. He is closing in the distance. He will get it. And with that, the tether stun, he has to pop off. The spirit should break off the nightmare. It's going to prevent that delay. And now Blow Your Brain in a bad spot right here. The cast bolt's still available. Can pop it off 3 seconds. That's completely easy kill on Blow Your Brain. Now turning over to Goblak. They don't have Shackle, so they're not going to bother to pursue on the third. But still, really, really great exchange. And when you're in an aggressive tri-lane and you're the ones that are falling by the wayside, then that is going to put you in a very bad spot starting off. And part of that is due to the fact that Silent, being only level 1, can't really do much more, especially with that Nightmare being almost immediately interrupted.
Yeah, that was just Empire not respecting the amount of damage that's coming out from Chaos Knight. If he rolls well on that Reality Rift and on the and on his Chaos Bolt, he dished out a ton of damage, and there was no way they could really go on that. They kind of just had to accept the fact that their Bane was going to die. Meanwhile, they're going and interrupting more pulls. And
Reality Rift onto Goblak, tethered up, but they are going to actually put the Nightmare out, this time on TC. Too much damage coming forth, though, and IX Mike going to be able to get that kill. 2-second stun coming out. They're going for the tether as well. Plenty of right-click to finish this off. The Brain Sap will keep him healed up for a bit, trying to turn around on IX Mike, but the right-click from a Bane is not going to be sufficient here. So that is enough for IX Mike to walk away, very low HP, acquire his bottle, and most importantly, set up TC for 4 assists, actually. He didn't pick up a single one, but he's still moving on forward. Getting the gold on the supports will help them out in the sense that they'll be able to help out. Oh my gosh, Korok dropping down. Last auto attack, not enough. The Invis Rune disjoining. Scandal will survive. Really, really nice engagement there. Just got too many stacks. Korok underestimating him a bit, and Jake gonna fall, unfortunately for him. So really very favorable. Look at the experience per minute. 470 now for Scandal, as he's just going to skyrocket up compared to Korok and start moving very actively. He can pick up the blink even before he builds his boots into anything. He'll be in a great spot, and he can control runes pretty effectively as well.
Yeah, while this top tri lane isn't going very well for Radiant at all, Empire is making it up in their other 2 lanes. They're winning both mid and bot, and with a Bat Rider and a Klinks, you can go and put up so much pressure in the mid game that there will be a ton of time for your carry to catch up. Unfortunately, Blow Your Brain isn't playing a Luna this time. He doesn't have any sort of AoE clearing mechanism like a Glaives. He can't really go for a Battle Fury either, so he's going to have a rougher time catching up, but I feel like he doesn't need it quite as badly as a Luna. He'll be able to have a big impact in fights just, through his spells. So they will be able to get back in this game, and I think a lot of it, however, is going to rest on Funnick's shoulders. But Funnick on Klinks is a person that I can trust to go and pull me back into basically any game. His mastery of that hero is basically unparalleled.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Not quite able to kill Bobo.
Yeah, signature hero there, of course, but what we've seen him harassing Boba down over and over and over again. Now we see Boba having to be forced back. He's not only is he not able to get any CS on the lane, but with a little bit of extra regeneration pulled onto the Klinks, now he's forced him fully back, not able to get the experience he desires, and that means he can't really do an early hookshot initiation to catch somebody off guard. The surprise factor is kind of gone. Now that we're at past the 5 minutes, it's something to be expected very shortly, and Goblak and Silent should be able to respond appropriately here. So with the CS on Funnick, 26 right now, and he's going to be moving towards that Orchid immediately. Actually just going straight up for a couple Sage's Masks, giving his regen 2.2, and from there he'll have plenty of Searing Arrows to dish out in the other way. Now we do see this engagement. The Nightmare pops off on TC, keeping him up for the time being, but the last word comes on out. Illuminate doing some damage, but Silent on low life. Brain sapping up on IX Mike. They are going to pop off the lasso. Nice movement from Scandal. Going to be able to pick off TC right here, I believe. Yeah, enough auto attacks, and that's a nice little bit of intellect steal for Blow Your Brain. Moving up, and that's his first Glaives of Wisdom, and really hurts the early game CK when the fact that he barely has enough mana to support his spells as it is. So limiting his intellect, it's going to be more and more difficult for him to actually get back-to-back big disables coming out.
Yeah, I mean that's equally true even for the Clockwork and to an extent the Wisp. But Wisp, you know, a little bit higher of the pool, and also the fact that
Ooh,
there's going to
Bulba
be a
Sniper
bottom.
Rune. Actually, that with that Dream Coil, they might be able to bring Scandal down here. The fact that he's caught in these cogs, too much damage coming out. Scandal will drop even after he fireflies over the cogs. Takes a bit too much damage and gives Korok a little bit of a revengeance from what happened on the mid lane earlier. And that's just good rotation from Bulba, and the fact that Empire's runes had expired, and they want to keep the aggression rolling not only on bot and mid, but now moving on towards top. They have Wisp, CK, and all they want to find is kills to make sure TC can amplify his farm exponentially.
Yeah, I mean that's how TC is going to get back in the game. Also, we were talking about how the int drain on TC is going to harm him. Luckily enough, he's fighting with a Wisp, and Wisp with that bottle.
Reality Rift coming in. There's the tethered 2-second stun follow with the Keeper Light, and he's going to drop immediately. No defensive opportunity for Nightmare as they put it down on IX Mike. Beautiful Shackle, Silent, getting dropped down really, really quickly, and it's not enough with the Brain Sap. Going to take a fall as well. And yeah, Blow Your Brain, all he can do is just send auto attacks. That's one weakness of the hero in this tri-lane situation. No legitimate disables that come out at the right time that you need them. But Scandal coming in does pop off that Flame Break, trying to pull Fluff out of position, but here comes Reality Rift. Blow Your Brain is actually going to get dropped down. Beautiful Shackle onto one of the few trees that remain. Blow Your Brain is still the target despite the 4-second stun on Scandal, and they do finish him off with a little bit of Spirits. Now Scandal getting dropped down as well in a gigantic swing. I believe that was 4 total kills in favor of Team Liquid, now jumping up to 9-2, and they can do pretty much whatever they want with these heroes now. IX Mike jumping up just short of level 6, and they have so much presence here.
Yeah, I have no idea what Empire is doing, keeping on trying to fight into that Chaos Knight. He's gone and punished them multiple times, and TC, he wouldn't be having such a great lane. I feel if Empire had been playing a slightly more defensively, just spamming out Curse, spamming out Last Word, and, you know, blasting with a bunch of horses, but at this point, he's a real terror, and even Wisp has hit level 6, so it's only going to get worse from here. Yeah. We're going to see some awesome relocate ganks, and again, it's just going to come down to how much Funnick's going to be able to impact the game, because right now, the ball is definitely... the momentum is definitely in Team Liquid's favor.
Yeah, most definitely. Funnick really has to make something happen here, and mid lane Bane is just getting wrecked completely. Rank 3 Waning Rift doing enough burst damage to bring him down. The relocate coming in is bringing only IX Mike, no CK, so they're just going to try to... they don't even have the tether to pull Korok out of this, so they're going to pop off. The Keeper Light going to do some Illuminate damage. Korok with 3 Napalms going to try to jaunt away. The Reality Rift comes on in. TC is now here. 4-second stun, but he's over the cliff just barely. Can't right-click him down, but Korok finds his opportunity and brings him down. So that was a little bit wonky. They definitely didn't want him over the cliff, but it worked out for them in spades. So Chaos Knight does get silenced up by that last word, but the stun is sufficient for Blow Your Brain to almost drop. Gets denied by Bane instead through the Nightmare, and they don't really have the reinforcements to really keep this engagement. The Shackle does not latch, fortunately for Silent, but he does get tethered up, and in the end, it's going to be the Illuminate that brings down the Chaos Knight. They keep the aggression rolling, and they do pay for it, staying a little bit too long on Circle of Life, but they are taking so many kills that it feels well worth it.
Yeah. However, they are going and getting pressure on the bot tower. He has a chance to lose it without any points in that strafe, though. It's not going to go down anytime soon. They're going to be able to defend this if they want to. And it's just, these fights are going so poorly for Empire. They need to go and find some way to kind of bring them back and try to slow down this Chaos Knight's aggression. Luckily for them, even though that his lane went so well, he is 1, 2, and 8. He did not get the majority of the kills, and he wasn't able to farm particularly well either, only sitting at 22 CS. So they do have a little bit of breathing room in that sense. It's not like he has his Django finish. It's not like he's well on his way to an armlet.
Sure.
But that experience advantage, if he just keeps rolling 4s on his stuns, they're not going to be able to survive team fights. It looks like they're trying to go for a kill on Clinks here, but Funnick, just realizing that something's up, jumps off into the woods, goes and eats a creep, and when he's sitting at 1200 HP, he's got a pretty considerable room to work with.
Absolutely. And yeah, like you said, the kills assist ratio for Chaos Knight puts him more in the supportive range, but looking at net worth here, the top 5, 4 of them are on the Dire because it is spread out a lot, but Goblik taking some damage here. They do pop off the dust to make sure Clinks isn't too close, bringing down Goblik right here, and Funnick just has to watch as allies get dropped down. Actually seeing a Spirit Pop, Mike knows that there is a Clinks nearby, but they're just going to walk away from that position, don't want to overextend themselves like before, and they're going to be happy picking off just another support kill. Looking at Keeper Light's level, only level 5, and with that, he's in a really bad spot. Speaking of, here comes a big stun combo, and there is no chance Blow Your Brain's going to get out of this one, so another opportunity for them finding an opportunity, and this is where Team Liquid's lineup just completely shines. They are all about getting the pickoffs here, and now that they're filling up TC and up to full mana with that bottle, Ixmike can actually relocate for another kill, or just tether on in. Scandal drop down as well. What is going on here? Amazing damage from Liquid. They're just finding picks left and right, and it feels like Empire is just not respecting the range of that Chaos Knight Wisp. They're just falling over and over, and unfortunately inadvertently feeding. The Wisp 5-0-6, the Team Liquid in general 15-3. They are going to lose a tower, and it's so much plummeting in favor with this experience advantage going to 4K for Liquid here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just slowly slipping out of their grasp. They're going and giving a ton of extra experience to this Puck, who was doing much better than he was the last game, even though he was still soloing against a Bat Rider. On the plus side, they do have a Coddle, so they're going to be able to go and defend their their other towers fairly well. And Funix looks like he's trying to go for a kill on Korok here, but not quite able to get in. And he might actually pay for it with that
Skeleton
relocate.
Walk, 3-second cooldown, they pop out the dust, pull him back in, and he's another casualty of war here. Just trying to go on Korok, who's one of the more survivable heroes without an Orchid. Going up, when you're going up against 1 versus 2 and a relocate hasn't happened in a long time, that's not a 1 versus 2, that's a 1 versus 4, and obviously that happened really quickly for him to just be dropped down. The supports have plenty of money for sentries, for dust, whatever they need to make sure that he can't play aggressive like that. And meanwhile, Silencer is just trying to hit a 6. He doesn't yet have his global silence. Looking at levels, we have like level 9 Puck, Clockwork, level 8 CK, and then there's a 10 and 8 for their solo heroes, but Below Your Brain himself is doing very poorly as far as moving towards his ultimate goes. And of course that means they're very limited in their team fight. So it's just amazing what TC's been able to accomplish, and now wants to keep it going. They don't have vision on the high ground in this position here, but they're not without the tower here. They could care less. Going forward that reality rift, they need vision. Ixmike leading the pack, and now they'll be able to bring down Scandal with a quick Chaos Bolt. He might pay for it though. Funnick coming out. He has his ultimate active. A lot of damage that can come out onto TC. He's disarmed. He's silenced. There is a lot of right clicks, but it's not enough because he's just so quick. 455 MS when he's tethered up, and there is just no way to lock these guys down right now.
Yep, and with that Bat Rider down, he's getting further and further away from his Blinka. The item timings of all of Empire's heroes are way behind. And, you know, Silencer still hasn't hit level 6. He came from mid, tried to go and get a kill, get some experience that way, but it's just not enough. They need to go and find some room for them to farm. Meanwhile, the supports on... looks like Liquid Fluff's taking some damage, but he can just win run TP out. But... meanwhile, the supports on the Dire side, they have a ton of experience. Windrunner's almost finished the mechanism. Puck is only 300 gold away from his Blink, and Wisp with Arcane Boots and being the primary warder, that's fairly impressive.
Looking for Bloody Brain. The ultimate of Clockwork's on cooldown, but rank 4 reality is really ridiculous. Gonna find Bloody Brain most likely. No, TC gets nightmared up for right now. They're bouncing it back and forth, but it's not working out for them. Scandal finding a lasso, pulling him up the cliff, but he just relocates back because that was the initial intention of the gank. So 12 seconds passing, they just fall back from this position, taking a little kill on the Bane incidentally, and then just walking away from that. So, best case scenario, Empire survives, but they are not getting kills in return, and they're in a really poor spot. Everybody but Funnick is finding absolutely no gold, and like you said, they're not going to get Blink Daggers on anyone, and although Bane and Keep the Light aren't very gold reliant, the rest of their team is, and it's just been so very painful.
Yep, seems like there's a quick pause now. Hopefully everything works out okay, and I gotta say, I hope this Lynx goes and waits to farm his Orchid before going on any of these heroes, because he definitely needs that additional damage, and more than that, the silence. There's no other way they're going to be able to compete, especially when you look at Korok. Especially going on Korok on the mid lane, I feel was a bit of a mistake, because he does have access into that phase shift, and Illusion Orb. Without silence, he really can't do anything there. Same thing, they need Bane to go and hit level 6. Bane and Silencer is just hit level 6 rather, but Bane not having level 6 means it's going to be impossible to lock down these heroes. The Windrunner, the Puck, they're just going to be able to get away. Same thing with the Chaos Knight. We were talking about how fast he's tethered up, but even without tether, you know, he is sitting at 380 move speed. If he decides to finish that Django, that will bump up, but instead it looks like he's going for that armlet to go and give him some additional damage and more bursty damage, so when he relocates on someone, they will immediately die within the 2 to 4 seconds of his stun. Yeah. I don't know what Empire's plan is here, but luckily they have a Coddle. If there's any hero that can allow you to turtle for insane amounts of time and be super irritating, it is that Keeper of the Light. But they do need to play more defensively, go for just those solo pickoffs, and give Clinks a lot of time to farm. Clinks is one of those heroes that can go get a pickoff and immediately push a tower, because Strafe gives him an insane amount of move speed, and his ultimate gives him a tremendous amount of damage. So if they kind of play that way where Clinks distracts the enemy team long enough for them to get some farm and levels on all of the rest of the Dire heroes, they have a chance. But to do that, Clinks does need the Orchid, and if he goes and tries to fight without it, I'm very afraid for him. I think he has a pretty good chance of dying.
Well, Funnick is just a recipe away from that Orchid, and has some opportunities to try to go for solo pickoffs on heroes like Puck, Korok there, but beyond that, they are really having a hard time just standing and delivering. For the time being, every single hero on Liquid has so much gold to work with, and although the Orchid will be a critical timing for Empire to try to bounce back, at the same time is going to be Fluff's mechanism, only about 700 gold away from that, and if Fluff is in the action with his team, he can keep an ally alive, negate some of that amplification of damage that the Orchid from Klinks will do, and from there just keep the relentless pressure rolling that they've been able to accomplish. Now an ultimate coming on in from Bulba, he wants to catch up to Goblak, but not being able to close the distance. Just that Horsey running a little bit too fast, but it's not going to be that big of a deal. They pop it off occasionally, trying to find a pickoff. Fortunately hitting a creep, but it's not going to dissuade them from continuing the pressure that they've been putting out. And on top of that, with that armlet coming out, Chaos Knight is going to hit level 11 pretty soon, and those Phantasms are going to dish out so much damage. Now Batrider, running for his life, Scandal, just has to run on into the other parts of the jungle, and TC just keep on going on through. So, Ike's Mike doesn't even have to keep up for the time being with that tether, but 3 people, 3 Empire individuals versus 2, and they're running for the hills because they don't know what's coming very effectively. They have some map control, but up on top, we are seeing Funnick being pursued. The dust isn't there though, and unfortunately that means they are going to miss out on this kill, even with a very, very precise smoke gank. Funnick just too fast for that skeleton walk. So he is still buying time for the team. That is a lot of time. Liquid is just running around in circles, and they come back for the relocate. Now they pop off TC, flame breaked on in. They do have the Firefly as well, trying to bring him down. Phantasm comes on out, but it's getting burned down very, very quickly. Instead, TC just on the run. He does pop off a stun on Scandal, but it's going to be Ike's Mike to fall to the Brain Sap, and now TC should be locked down by a few more right clicks. So good pursuit by Empire, and closing in on the weakness of Wisp, unfortunately forcing himself back to the previously relocated position. So that is a couple kills on the board.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to be a tower as well. That Klinks, he still has access. No, he did in fact use Strafe there, but he's still going to dish out a ton of damage. He's going to mow down that tower, and I don't know if they're going to be able to defend. They look like they are trying to. They're glyphing it, and with that amount of rocket spam coming from the clock right there, and no creeps for the Radiant to work with, Empire has to back off here, and let's see if Fluff is able to line up a shackle shot. No,
ooh, there's a hook, there's a Cogs, there's a Waning Rift, completely obliterating Blow Your Brain. Korok, Fiend's gripped up, taking a lot of damage, but can phase shift out after the fact. Now Silent getting locked down for the time being. Boba on the front line. He's like, tether me up, bro. I'm going in. And now Scandal is on the run as well. No blink, taking a lot of damage right here. Do they have the shackle shot to bring him down? Power shot to try to finish it. They get the Waning Rift and the rocket. They actually pick off Scandal and all that and can pursue for the tier 2. That was just so amazing how they were able to turn that around. I thought the tower was gone for good. Instead, Goblak gonna take a fall as well. And now they're just going for the tower. I wouldn't be surprised if Empire called good game in a moment. Look at the experience detriment. They got a little bit from those 2 kills, but it goes right back down in the direction of 7k, and the same thing for the gold. Now that the mechanism is up on Fluff and stuff, there's very little Empire can do to hold the line against this. They have great team fight with the Global Silence. We do see Funnick being pulled back in, and then he's just going to walk away. The detection wasn't there, unfortunately, so he does actually get a pickoff on Ike's Mike, and he's still in pursuit with that Orchid available. He really wants to find the kills where he can get them, but I'm honestly amazed that while they were distracted on the tower, he was able to go in 1v5 and get a pick there.
Well, he was able to go and snipe off the Dust Carrier pretty much immediately, even with being 6'2" and 10. Wisp doesn't have a ton of experience. One other thing to note is that they were able to go and pick off the bounty on the Klinks was able to pick up the bounty on that Wisp, and that has allowed him to go and pick up that Orchid. He's sitting at another 1,000 gold, and they really, really need to make this Klinks be super effective.
Yep.
Gem on the ground.
Yeah,
Did you be able to catch it?
They were just jumping back and forth. They recently bought it, and they're just telling who wants to carry it, finding it out, because they want to make sure that doesn't happen again. They want to have the gem on the right person, keep them alive, and keep them on the front line so they can bring down this Klinks with no trouble at all, because that was the only reason he got away, was they only had dust on the one who immediately got dropped. So Funnick very lucky in that circumstance. I'm sure it wasn't luck, actually. He was definitely checking inventories and knowing his limitations there, but looks like Ike's Mike is going to be the gem carrier for the time being, and just has to make sure he can stay alive for the time being, keep close to Fluff if he wants to be mech'd up.
Yep, and with that armlet available on the CK, they look like they just had a little jaunt there just for fun. But there's a DD on the Wisp and armlet on the CK. It looks like Funnick not able to get a kill on the mid lane.
Just popping off a lot of damage on the Fluff, but Mech, again, reducing all the damage from the Orchid is amplified after the fact based on HP difference, and since the mechanism nullifies 250 damage of that received, that means that that particular bit of damage isn't amplified, so it's even more effective than if it wasn't up against an Orchid. So using that at the right time, it barely is just a little scratch on the shoulder and after he brushes that off, they're able to go in pursuit of their opposition. The relocate was unfortunately wasted for Liquid, but that doesn't stop their relentless intentions. Going on through Blink, initiation from Korok, gets a double Dream Coil, going on through Godblack, taking too much damage, will drop down. The question is, can they pick up Scandal? Fire flying away. They do not seem for the time being. Korok, phase shift, there goes the Reality Rift. They get a ultimate off onto Korok, but he's just going to drop down in the end. So nice exchange there, and they can finish this off and walk away, even to move in to defend their top. Strafe is not available for Clinks, just using the damage from Death Pact and the Seeing Arrows to gradually jump away, but I think they can still defend this based on the reinforcements. Oh wow, he's taking tower hits, is what he's doing.
Yeah, that was pretty questionable. They didn't know that the relocate was down.
Now the Reality Rift, and Skull of Silence does help them try to escape. Funnick, they don't really have a tether, but too much damage coming out from the spirits that were already active, and so Funnick will take a fall, even if Blow Your Brain will escape for the time being, as well as Silent. But going out there, putting a few hits into the tower, and then losing your Clinks is not really the position you need to be in if you want to try to get back in this game, and it looks like it's just going to be a very linear golden experience graph as they continue to maintain their advantage.
Yeah, I mean, that was really questionable play coming from Empire. It seems that, when they're facing... it's normally Empire that are the aggressors. They're used to being the very attacking team, and I feel that in this situation, and it looks like a relocate gang on the mid lane, they're looking for that Bat Rider, and he's pretty much dead.
Yep, they were actually looking at Blow Your Brain, but finding out Scandal, they'll take that too. And if they can get the distance, like I said, he's so fast, he's going for the Reality Rift, he will be able to get it, and even though he's silent sub, one more right click is all he needs to get a double kill, and out of that, unfortunately, Alex Mike not keeping him safe. He's going to take a lot of damage here. Gets nightmared up, damage over time, and pops off his armlet to try to turn things around. Wow. TC is so aggressive underneath tier 2 towers. He's like, whatever, I can take whatever I need to. In this position here, he's level 12, popping off double Phantasm, ready and raring to go to burst down on this tier 2 tower. And it's just Liquid in the driver's seat, and Empire don't really... It shows that they aren't exactly accustomed to being on the back foot. Like you said, they love to be the aggressors here, and that's been the exact opposite in this game. Team Liquid, from the laning phase, has been all over the board, taking tons of kills, and with this Wisp CK, they've just been able to keep that relentless pressure going, and it feels like Empire haven't been able to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, they're finally going to back up now.
But here comes Korok to try to save the day. Does try to burst down Bane for the time being, but TC taking too much damage. Will be dropped down here, along with Silent. Korok phase shift Jaunt will get out of there for the time being, and it looks like he will probably survive, as Scandal only has so much he can do to try to close the distance, but there is a Clinks here. Again, they do have vision. He does pop off the blink, and I think that will be enough. Bulba has those cogs. He doesn't have the jaunt, though. He cannot jaunt away. He has to pop off the jewels. Korok will still be able to survive because it's a freaking Puck, and that's what Puck does. Now that he has so much survivability, he's just going to be delaying them. They can sit around for like the next 10 seconds and maybe still not pick him, but now it should be the death of him. This is the last stand of Korok as he takes a fall and the Geometry Sight drops to the ground. But even then, they took so much time to bring down a poor little Puck. Can't check on the Geometry Sight cooldown, so that is a pretty big loss for them. But I don't know if it's going to hinder them in the sense that they're still willing to dive past towers, relocate wherever they want. And actually, I heard Bulba trying to go for a hookshot, not actually managing to do so.
Yeah, and Bulba's gone for that quick Ghost Scepter. That's a great item in this case. There's not a huge amount of magic damage. If you're able to dodge the Illuminate and the Bane doesn't go on you, that basically... Oh, it looks like they're going to go on the mid lane, relocate gank, and that's a poor Blow Your Brain. Or are they going to switch up?
Global Silence comes on out. They really can't follow up with Chaos Knight's big cooldowns if they can't cast spells. And now the last word actually did the Disarm and the Silence simultaneously, so just going to force them to fall back. Up on top, Funnick is trying to bring down this tower, manages to do so, but he's still caught up next to Bulba. All he needs is a rocket to follow to try to bring him down. But getting recalled up for the time being, the rocket will... Okay, not even gonna... There we go. But it's just too late. He is going to escape, and Clinks picks up a nice tower kill, which is a significant win for them, considering how down in the dumps they've been all this game.
Yeah, I mean, that's a... What, is that the first tower they've been able to get this game? It's absolutely insane. When you have a hero like Clinks, you expect to just go and pick those up like candy. It looks like Clinks is going for the BKB to kind of allow him to at least contest fights when TC shows up. But TC has now went back, finished the drum, and, even Untethered is sitting somewhere around, 400 MS. It's going to be very, very difficult for Clinks, even with that skeleton walk to outrun him. Luckily, they were able to go and take down the gym, but I'm not sure what their plan is going to be here. If they go on him, they need to go and immediately silence this CK.
They don't have any detection for the time being on Funnick, so he can stalk up all he wants. The question is what kind of damage he can do to IX Mike, since there is Ghost Scepter up on the Wisp now, which is a great defensive item in this situation, but there is also Silent to disable up TC in this situation. So here they are raring to go. They pop off the Nightmare to start things off. Funnick wants to break on out, but the Wisp comes on through with the tether, the 4-second stun. Here comes the damage though, and Bane is going to completely drop off. Funnick The Nightmare does keep on propagating, so Funnick will take us some time, but the Ghost Scepter pops off, keeping the Wisp up for the time being. Bulba really wants to close the distance. The stun comes out. He's still dusted up, but only for a short period of time longer. They can't see him anymore, but they're just going to do enough damage AoE? No. He's going to walk away. And that's just the unfortunate part of not having sentries. The dust will only last so long, and in this case, Funnick on the Wild Goose Chase will survive, but it's going to be a long trek back to base, and in the meantime, they're going to be looking at this tier 2 tower on bottom.
Yeah.
Oh, actually missed.
And it seems like
Korok.
it was a solo kill. Yeah, Korok.
Classic Korok.
Yeah, he does this shit. But yeah, he made great solo kill. Shows how far behind the silencer is. Just no items. Probably going for vitality boost or a headdress, does anything to tank up, is just not enough. And Korok, you know, just showing that while Puck doesn't have any super bursty skills, he can wear you down and eventually you will die. It looks like Scandal has managed to finally pick up a Blink Dagger, and perhaps they're going to use that to try to initiate, but I'm not sure who they can go on. Instead, Goblet gets caught out.
Yeah, now the Nightmare goes on through, but the 4 seconds done. It's just another pickoff, so it just keeps that going, and they try to help all they can. Silent with its disables, Batrider with Flame Break, but even with that, they're just not able to force the enemy off. They have too much MS, they have too much lockdown, and they've been showing it, just flexing their muscles here in this aggressive lineup that pretty much has no limit. They can dive in down underneath the tier 3 and probably come out on top. Speaking of, Bulba going in with beautiful cogs. I'm not sure how they had vision, but they go on in. Bulba, Ghost Scepter's up for the time being, no auto attacks, but they do pop off the Global Silence, and it looks like Bulba will pay with that last word coming on through. In the meantime, Funnick does get a kill on Windrunner. This was a bit of a mistake with that Fiend Script coming through. They're going to lose 3. A big, unfortunate turnaround. Wisp does get the relocate, but he's going to come back. And when he does, there's nothing for him to tether to. That's going to be a 4th kill. However, up on top, they at least take the tier 3 through the means of Korok's effective push. But here comes the death of Ike Mike.
Poor Ike Mike. This is the saddest feeling of Wisp. You try to go and save someone by TPing them out, and then you just have to wait knowing that as the seconds pass, you are 100% guaranteed to die. But, you know, Korok was able to get that top tower, and that, well, that was a little bit too aggressive coming out from Bulba, hooking into 4 enemy heroes. They're just going to show that, you know, they have the capability to do that. They put out a pretty decent amount of damage. If it wasn't from great play from the Bane, the Chaos Knight would have been able just to run in and slay the rest of them. It looks like Chaos Knight himself is going for a BKB. That's a little bit of a strange item pickup. You'd normally see something a little bit more just straight HP oriented, strength oriented. Is Korok going to die to Funnick here?
He has the Yules. It's pretty much all about reflexes, and now Windrunner is nearby. They are popping off some cooldowns here. So Orchid goes on the friggin' Hellbear. So now the Yules comes up on Clinks. They're just going to walk away with a blink. So Funnick, yeah, the jig is up, and he's just going to walk away from that. Unfortunate for him, he wasn't able to. I guess they were honestly just farming. Like, it was incidental damage. They were power shutting down the trees for easy walkthrough and just burning them down AoE-wise. But it kind of tipped off Funnick, where he was scared that they might have had detection and just wanted to initiate really quickly, and that was unfortunate for him as he ended up silencing a neutral.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you get lucky. But Funnick has finished his BKB. Going back to that Chaos Knight, yeah, he's going for BKB. Normally you see something like straight Heart to go and just give your Phantasms a little bit more damage, but I think in this game they're looking to go and close it out very quickly, and he doesn't want to have to deal with all that Nightmare coming out from Bane. They're just going to run in, take down the towers, and at this point they're about as strong relatively as they're ever going to be. There are basically no items on the Radiant team, and there's no reason from Team Liquid's perspective to let the game go on that much longer. They can go finish BKB, pick up a Roche, and just walk down mid.
Yeah, no problem. In the meantime, Clinks will take up that tower real quick. No backdoor protection on the tier 1s, and he'll have a fine time with that. But pretty much what we're seeing from Team Empire right now is 3 supports watching their silencer farm. They're just staying nearby. They don't want him to get Wisp TP'd on, so the only way they can be prevalent in that position is to actually stay right in his position. They don't really have opportunity to sentry down in their current position for the. I mean, there is a 5,200 net worth on the Keeper of the Light, 4,700 on the Bat, and 33 on the Bane. It's way too much coming on in, and it's been very difficult for them so far in this game. So they don't have much to spare as far as consumables go, and for that reason they just are going to stay next to him, assume that the enemy has vision at any time, and wants to be able to retaliate.
Yeah, one thing to note is though,
actually, Bulba coming in bottom. The relocate will go on through as well. BKB does pop off. He's going to go for the TP. There's no way to stop this. Funnick will survive, but they did at least pop off a single charge of BKB, even though the relocate inevitably did fail.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a little bit unfortunate for both parties. I'm sure that Funnick wanted to save his 10-second. I believe that was, in fact, the 10-second, right? Yeah. He wanted to save that for fights, but, you know, you need to survive in that position, because if Funnick went down, I do not believe he had buyout, and that would just be a little bit too much. They could just walk into the Roche pit at that point.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, TC is just actually monsters right now, and it looks like they are looking to finish the game. Vlad's is coming up on the Wisp, and that's going to be the extra oomph, the additional damage that Chaos Knight needs to go high ground. One thing to note though is the levels are not that bad on the Radiant team. They are, fairly far behind, but the Bat Riders just about matching the Chaos Knight. Both supports are universally, they're both 2 levels down on their counterparts, but I feel that, Bane and Coddle are at a level where they can be fairly effective. That maxed out Nightmare and Brain Sap are going to do a ton in team fights. So if Team Liquid, I'm not going to say that they're anywhere close to behind. They're definitely far, far ahead. But if they don't get something done, especially going for items like a BKB and a Vlad's right now, they're kind of limiting their late game potential. If they wanted to go and just like farm up a Hex on the Puck perhaps, they could go and drag this out even later, but they seem to want to finish it, and I think that's a pretty good idea right now.
Moving in, finally looking at Roche. They definitely have that opportunity, but they're also kind of using it as bait for the timing. The second they see somebody on the map, they want to go for it. Looking at the dire vision, they have a general idea of what's going on, but the Bulba hookshot will not work out. Instead, the Global Silence comes on out. They're trying to put some right-click damage, but Blow Your Brain is going to get that disarm off on TC. Going to pop off the BKB instead with that arm lit up. Phantasm's out. Really wants to just stand and deliver, but doesn't have the right-clicks to do it. Blow Your Brain will take a fall to the initiation of Korok, and on the eastern end, Funnick trying to just auto-attack away. TC on such low life. Beautiful armlet toggle survives, and instead Funnick falls. TC on 1 HP. Now Ike's Mike barely out of their woods, but not just yet. The silence will end up killing him in the end. Now there's a lot of damage coming in. Godblack gonna get right-click down after that beautiful shackle coming in from Fluff, and now they can clean this up. No trouble at all. TC still toggling away on that armlet, and is gonna try to... They can't pursue on this, but they did what they came to do. Taking down 3, only losing 1, and it was so close between TC and Funnick, just DPSing away, back and forth, but the armlet came out. TC stayed alive, even between those Searing Arrows right-clicks, which are extremely rapid with the strafe. So nice play by him, and the team fight easily goes their way.
Yeah, but that did go to show, even as far behind that the Empire is with that silencer, they can go and put in a ton of damage on team fights. The Chaos Knight was forced his BKB a little bit earlier than he'd like. He was threatening to be disarmed. I think Korok's going to go for a solo kill.
No, Fluff will help him out with a shackle, most likely. He does have the Force Staff over the cliff as well, but there's an easy shackle lined up, and they're just waiting for the opportunity to use it. Maybe waiting for a rocket for a tiny bit of extra damage. Relocate comes out through. Easy peasy. They could actually have possibly gone for the Courier, but just incinerating the Bane is perfectly fine for them. They're probably going to turn this into a Roche, even though Wisp will unfortunately be just forced back to the base.
Yeah, but Wisp, luckily, since you're on Dire, you have the access into that tier 2 bot tower. You can just easily teleport in there. And, if he comes back with a Vlad, it's going to be even, more straightforward. And I believe he has all the stuff on the Courier. I mean, that is his. So just not wanting to pick it up just yet. Sentry is a little bit more important to him right now, and that makes a lot of sense. You do not want the Clinks to be able just to jack a free Aegis.
Absolutely. And this has just been turning into a great matchup. I mean, we saw such relentless pressure coming out of Empire in Game 1, and now we're seeing it turn back in the other direction here. Liquid, with their current kill lead, is just dominating this game. And although they are substantially in the lead, and I believe they have this, there's no telling what Empire will come out with. With that silence, we were able to see how effective their teamfight can be, potentially, if they have the damage to follow up that big disable. And we just have to see if Liquid is just going to be able to end it here and make sure that the Empire doesn't have any chance to really come back from this.
Yeah, and if you look at the supports on Empire, and I guess at this point I'm calling Blow Your Brain a support. He's definitely playing the carry position, but he's just so far behind. But they're all just trying to tank up. That's double Bracer on Bane. That's Atos Bracer on Silencer, and I wouldn't be terribly surprised to see Bane go for an Atos himself. It's fairly effective against Chaos Knight, especially if you're able to, when that BKB charge runs down, and also against Clockwork it's pretty useful. And the HP is what really counts here. If they're able to get the fights to drag on a little bit long, then the fact that Clinks is a ranged hero, the fact that, Silencer does pretty decent range pure damage and his spells are, fairly effective as well, they can have a chance to win. So they just trying to tank up as much as they can. The problem is the single target just got a lot stronger from Liquid side with that Hex being picked up on Korok. It's going to be difficult for them to go and win these team fights, and also any incidental damage that lands on that Clockwork when he has Blade Mail on is going to be monstrous.
Bulba looking for some initiation. If he can get a hook shot off, he actually does find it. Funny coming on through. The relocate should be coming up any second. Spirit's already active. The Global Silence does come on through. TC can't stun anything, but Funnick is just going to try to run away. He dies to the cogs instead. Lasso out on TC, going to pull him back, but not sufficiently. Heber Light and the Bat Rider both dropping down. Easy cleanup here. Korok just has to survive, and that's what he does best. So Blow Your Brain going to drop down as well, and there's the good game well played. Liquid just too much for them, 40 to 15
Yeah.
in the end, and that their lineup just screamed aggression from the minute one. So that was amazing coming out of them, and now we get to see, we're going to do a coin toss for the next server. This was a USD swan, but yeah, America takes it back. Team Liquid matching up Empire 1-1 in this best of 3 series. So we just kind of saw all game long their relentless potential, and with the goal per minute, you can see that of the top, I think, 7, all 5 of them are in the terms of Team Liquid. So this board's not faring very well, and unfortunately, neither was Silencer. And that was just really, really painful for them. They couldn't get the right click they needed, and Flunick just couldn't do it by himself. So awesome game, and that is the conclusion of Game 2. So we'll go on to Game 3 in just a minute, but awesome, awesome play from these teams, and happy to be able to cast it with you, man.
Yeah, it was great games. I'm really excited to see who's going to be able to take down the other in this basically clash of the Western Giants.
For sure, for sure. All right, well, that is it. We're going to go on to Game 3, just like I said, and we'll put on some music in the meantime. But thank you guys so much for tuning in, and hopefully you guys are enjoying these games as much as I am, because these are awesome, just straight up. So I'm curious to see what Empire will come back with next. But until the next one, listen to some music, and thanks for tuning in.